Alright, everybody, we are back again. Truth and Oneness discussion, enlightened living with a Scorpio and an Aquarius. So,
Wait, did you
people,
say truth and oneness, enlightened living? It's the
yeah,
other way around.
or other way around, vice versa.
Sorry.
Switch it up. Oh, wait, that kind of is a good way to lead into this conversation. Judgmental people.
That's not being judgmental though. That's more like just pointing out where the error was. Is that being judged? Well, you have to make some kind of a judgment, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess so. The topic is um. So I obviously do what I usually do and flip through other people's YouTube channels. I find an interesting discussion or topic. So I don't know if anyone's heard of him. His name is Phil. One of his channels name is Phil Good. PHILG space GOOD. He did a recent video a couple weeks ago called Intermission, where he talks about Trump, star seeds, and more. That's the title of the video. I'm probably not going to post it just because we're not necessarily going and
Reviewing it.
we're not really reviewing the video, but it gave me a good idea of something to talk about, and it's basically how judgmental humanity is. It's an interesting discussion what he talks about too, so maybe it is worth for people to go listen to it. But yes, humanity being overly judgmental to each other, especially right now during these times, right? Do you want to start it off?
Yeah, so it's like when you think about like in pretty much anything, based on how you're brought up, like, and your own personal viewpoints and values, you make and pass judgments on people, even though a lot of times you know that you shouldn't be, and it's like you're not here to judge people, but like always, like it's kind of a given thing that people do, and we need to kind of like work on that. Even like when someone makes a mistake, someone makes a judgment on them, like, how did you make that mistake? I don't understand. Why did you do that? But overall, it's like everyone's kind of like learning and growing. But a lot of times we all take our perspectives and our understandings, or like our proficiencies or not proficiencies, and base other people, like compare it and kind of like judge people based on what they're saying and doing, and what you perceive as right and wrong. So it's like that's something where like we're gonna talk a little bit more in depth in like different topics about like how typically like people will like quote unquote trigger themselves or whatever based on like whatever the topic may be. Like there's obviously the ones that people will get a rise out of just when you name, like, for example, if you say Trump or you say human trafficking or
Most
stuff
of the
like that.
celebrities right now. Most of the celebrities right now.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, so where do you draw the line, though? Because I don't think it's much of a secret, at least among the parts of humanity that are starting to wake up to what's going on in the world, that there's a large portion, especially high up end people, and the most visible of those high up end people are celebrities. That they're involved in like child trafficking, sex trafficking type stuff, pedophile, creepy, uh, um, human sacrifice type things. So it's like demonic. So it's like where do you draw? Where would you draw the line with this kind of stuff? With as far as judging, right? It'd be more along the lines. Or you want to say something?
Oh, it's kind of like when you're saying where you draw the line. It's like there's something kind of innate with everybody that they know something is wrong. Like hurting a baby, pretty much unanimously, people are going to say that is typically something that'd be wrong.
But people do it. But people do it, right?
Absolutely. So it's like to some people they don't see it as being wrong, but overall, like most people would agree that that's a wrong thing to do.
Okay, but like, so you've passed a judgment on them though.
Yeah.
So is it the difference of being like, you have to use your brain to like decide whether it's something you align with or want it to participate in or not? It's about the harsh judgment
Yeah.
where you make that decision and then you start bashing the person. Is that like, and then you start bashing the person? Is that kind of like, it's sort of like this. Um, you, um, know who these people are, and they do stuff you're not really into, and then you decide you're not into it either, so you don't hang out with them, right?
Yeah, pretty
And you leave it
much.
at that. But the thing is, don't you have to try to stop them from hurting other beings? But you can do that without maybe being harsh about it. Like, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting topic because and a lot of his. I know one person he brought up was Ellen DeGeneres, and I noticed a lot of its comments. People are like, "But wait, Ellen's part of the like demon ritual group of people." You don't. I think you used the wrong example. I think I saw one comment that said that. Um, and so it's like, does she not get to be an example of how not to be overly judgmental because it seems that she is definitely a part of like
That
satanic
group.
rituals and stuff?
That's that is a pretty good example because like a lot of people are automatically just gonna be like, well, she's bad because of this. I was like, well, that's just because she's bad because of that doesn't necessarily mean like we have to pass judgment on her. Like as a whole, we don't have to be like mean to her because she's mean to other people. Overall, what we need to do is like understand that that's the kind of person she is, and you don't align with her. You don't like how she's been rewarded and gaining all this money and influence and all this other stuff like that. It's like that is not our job to be like you're an evil person. We need to destroy you. Which all you do is just like you don't allow them to have that kind of capabilities by just don't give them money and everything like that. Don't watch their shows like that. That is enough.
Well, if you're like just a regular person like us,
Yeah.
if you're like into the people that crack down on this stuff, then isn't it your job to crack down on people like that? Because they're hurting other people and killing people, so you have to do something
Well,
to
if you
stop
stop,
them from doing that.
it's like, but the thing is, like, if you stop the overall the system of like child trafficking and stuff like that, the people like her won't even get it. So like she
Their
won't even.
supply runs
Yeah,
out.
it's like she won't be even be doing that in the first place.
I hear you. I hear that makes sense.
It's
And
like judging a crackhead for like causing
uh,
crimes to get crack when it's like, well, who's the one that's the worst one? Like the one that's supplying it, or the one that's like growing it, getting it all prepped, and like sending it all across the world? It's like if you stop the one that has it all, it stops all of that.
yeah, I understand, but it's kind of weird comparing child killing to crackheads.
Crackheads can kill people. I mean, like the thing about like drug dealers, it's like they make stronger and stronger things, and like you can overdose on like coke and stuff like that pretty easily. It kills a lot of people.
Yeah. So then, so yeah, that's I guess interesting. Because he also everyone of course, well not I won't say everyone, but lots of people. Obviously, we're getting closer to the election season. I think we are. Um, I think we're. Uh, People are waking up more and more in like robes. That's what I feel like. Like we may not see it directly, but I feel it in the air, especially like right now or like the past few days. Something has shifted very strongly. I don't really know exactly what it is. It might just be the season of September, the calm before like the storm that's supposed to be coming up, but um it's definitely people are starting to see who Trump really is, you know, that obviously if you're going to vote for one of two people, you probably shouldn't vote for Joe Biden. At least people are starting to see that, right? um, and, but yeah, they talk about how Trump is like one of the people that, yeah, causes people really strong reactions in people, right? Either people hate him or they love him. Um, and people get really judgmental, and for the people that are really like super harsh toward him, what's interesting, at least for people that list to me why they don't like him, is either I just don't like him, it's whatever, I just don't like him, I just don't like the guy, I don't care what he's done. That's either one of the answers, or they'll list a bunch of stuff that's not true, because you can like go and look and see that like, these things aren't true, but okay. So it's just interesting how people get to their judgmental spot,
Yeah.
um, especially with Donald Trump, I guess. But you go ahead.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. It's like, like the ones that just don't like him just because they don't like him, or they're like, oh, he's a racist, or he's a bigot, or he's this, or he's that. It's like they most of the time only can regurgitate information that they found from what the media has told them. So they have like this judgmental attitude towards someone without knowing about anything. It's like, because if you start bringing up policies, where like, then they just jump to instinct, like what you're saying. Like they just like, well, I just don't like the guy. I don't care what he's done. Like, but he's done a lot of great things for like a lot of people. I don't care. I just don't like the guy. It's like, so you'd prefer, like, the thing that's funny about that is like when you think about like where we live and where we are as people in the United States, being like, okay, so you'd rather like the person that's running the country, even if they destroy everything that you hold dear, because you like them, because you're told to like them, but you're gonna dislike the person that's helping you because you're told to dislike them. And that's what I guess like the whole judgmental thing like really becomes like an interesting subject, because you're like, okay, wait, do you even really understand what you're judging, or you just like think you do because you've been told that you do? It's like, it's just an interesting thing, especially when it comes to Trump, because like they really, a lot of times they have no like real understanding of why they just don't like him or pass judgment on him. Like, I hate him, he's the worst, we need to remove him, he should be impeached, he should be thrown in jail.
Well, they say, well, it's okay. So it's based on how he treats people. He just doesn't treat people very well. It's like, well, when has he? From you talking about from the show Apprentice? Like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Do you know him like specifically to like treat a person like badly? Like you've had a personal interaction with them, and if you have, like, I'm sure you've had personal interactions with many people, and you've been treated badly by a person before. And does that mean that that person has to, get trashed because they
Yeah.
treated you badly? You know what I mean? So yeah, that gets interesting too, as far as like the whole, yeah.
It's like, because think about it's like every time you interact with somebody, you don't know what kind of day they're having too. It's like, what if you, that one time that you interacted with him, he was having a bad day. So you're like, he's a bad person. He's a horrible person because he was mean to me that day. It's like,
That one time it made it to the news or the papers or whatever, that was him having a bad day. You know what I mean?
yeah. And it's like, that's what you guys run with. It's like, that's insane. Because it's like, that'd be like, okay, everyone out there, if you guys want to be on equal footing, you cannot have a bad day. And if you do, you have to be happy, smile, and be nice to everyone you see, no matter what, at all times. Good luck with
And
that.
and don't be a pedophile.
And don't be a pedophile.
Well, like I said, I think we're talking about one of our videos. It's like it's kind of like a natural. I feel like it's, well, not like a natural. No, you get some kind of, especially I think if you're a parent. I don't know. Maybe I don't really know. I don't. Maybe I'm being too judgmental here, but I feel like it's a natural reaction to like want to have some kind of feeling toward people that are pedophiles or hurt children, right?
Yes.
And I think what we need to do, because I guess the grand scheme of things, you have to back up a little further to the grand scheme of things, where the Earth plane is a playing ground. It is an experience realm up until, I wouldn't say up until now, up until there's going to be some big changes, I guess you could say. But up until now, it's been about duality. It's been about contrast to the far end, the far hot to the far cold. Just like,
Yeah. Um, it has been a bad experience, and it's like, and it's been duality, but it's like, I wonder if originally duality was even like the thing, or if it was just literally just experience. Like, you came here to experience things, and then it feels like it was almost like taking over. Like, so
What? You're saying if originally duality wasn't a thing?
yeah, like what if like that wasn't like initially the point? It was like, you're just here to
I
experience.
think that's in the very grand scheme of things. I think that is the point.
Oh.
I mean, if you look at least the research we've already done with Ariel, like talking about how this plane is set up it's like has some of the worst of the worst here and the best of the best.
Mm.
That's duality right there,
Yeah.
right? If you look at it from that perspective, and I think if you also look at it from the perspective of, the non-physical realms are kind of all not. I won't say they're blah, but they're kind of more in not neutral either, positive neutral, because you have positive healing, the light energy, the source energy. That's more you're closer to that, I guess, in the higher dimensions or realms. Um, and things are not so much about. Things are more like about instant manifesting and like
Yeah.
you don't get as much experience, or maybe things get boring, kind of like what Ariel will say. If anyone wants to know who Ariel is, that's the alien from Alien Interview that we did some videos on recently. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what you're saying. It's like that. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. So the duality. Yeah, I can see that.
So I feel like this. I mean, I guess depending on how much research you do and how much you look into what other people are also saying, it would appear that this plane was no, it was probably just set up as a physical realm for experience, and then it got turned into a duality experiment. Okay.
And I think with
So
the
I think
idea of having a duality, kind of like means that there's going to be judgment, right? Because it's
well,
like there's
yeah.
always going to be one side and another side, and each side is going to be different, or like think that they're different. So there's going to be judgment.
Well, yeah, that's the point, right?
Yeah, that is the point. Okay. It's like so.
But to get that experience.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting when you think
Sorry,
about it like
flopping
that.
around a baby in the background if anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
Our toddler. All right, so um, I forgot what I was talking about before, but so yeah, the purpose of this is to experience that duality, but to see that it is duality or that it's just contrast and it's here for the experience of it. And then from that point a perspective, you can choose to experience a little more, go deeper in that experience, or you can choose to take a step back and move on because you realize that this is just all set up for the experience that you already had, and you're like, okay, I already know what this is, sort of thing, I guess, huh? And then I was gonna say something else, but it left my head. Here, I'll give this to you.
It's like I kind of want to bring it back to like what's going on now, like with the presidency and whatnot. It's like when you think about like judging and stuff like that, like and then the duality. It's like, but it seems like definitely as things at this moment, like it's seeming besides like the media like pushing a judgment, it seems like it's almost like kind of unanimously like a lot of people across the world would be like on one side right now, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. How like more and more people keep shifting to one side, kind of like swinging the pendulum in one direction. There's not really much besides media saying there's resistance. It doesn't seem like there's much resistance or pushback besides like the people that are like just saying that they don't like him, or like saying like that kind of thing. It's like most people are actually like continually moving across, like because before they didn't, that they when they didn't support him, they're like, oh look, Black Lives Matter, or like protest, peaceful protest, and they're like, wait, I thought it was supposed to be peaceful when there's like riots and people getting beat up and shot and killed, and they're like, whoa, so paid to do those things. So you see more people like shifting to the other side, to the side that they used to be like against. It's like you see more and more people shifting to one side. It's kind of interesting when you see like it's like the people that are still like judging one side. It's like I don't know. It's like I can't put my finger on it, but I think something is going to be happening where this duality is going to like change and be something new instead of like good versus evil. Maybe something else.
What do you mean?
Like maybe like I don't really know, but it's like it seems like there might be a big
shift.
It could be like people with powers versus people without powers, kind of. I don't know. It just seems like it might be like kind of like a shift.
Not duality change, but you're saying people that are on one end of it,
Yeah.
on both ends of the spectrum, are gonna change
Yeah.
to be physically something different.
Yeah.
Well, this is you getting into the whole like the raising of frequencies
Yeah.
and the event coming
Seems
up
like
this year, end of this year, where you
good
know,
and evil, like, but it's gonna shift. Like, more people are gonna be good, but then it's gonna be like everyone's like innately good or like wanting the best. But it almost seems like the good versus evil is gonna be kind of tilted on its side. There's gonna be most people being like innately good, and then there's gonna be like power levels. Not like, hey, I have lots of money, I'm more powerful than you, but like actually like maybe potentially like, okay, I can manifest quicker, so I'm like a higher power level than you, but no one's gonna be like, I'm way better than you, kind of thing. Well, there might still be some, but overall, most people are gonna be like, I can use more of the power I have to manifest things for people. So the experiences are still gonna be able to be here, but different.
okay, I see what you're saying. That's kind of interesting.
I just thought about that just now. Sorry, it's like kind of off the judgment thing, but it's like it's just interesting. I just noticed like more people are like,
You're talking about shifting from judgment to accepting sort of just where you are in a level, sort of like it almost like be like where how long do you go to school for, what your degree is, so this is what your level is, and people just accept it as what that,
yeah,
and people work at that level
yeah.
or
So it's like
something like that.
there'll
But
be
like they
like
can go up more, and no one is
yeah.
like, oh, you're better because you have a PhD or you that kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be like you have that power level, and people would just like, oh, okay, so you're that cool, great. That's pretty cool. That's amazing. So there'd be like judgment, but more like in the idea of like almost like admiration instead of being like, oh, I hate you because you're able to do that. They're gonna be like, oh wow, that's incredible. Like, I wonder if I could do something like that too.
Or you're a peasant because you're only able to do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be some people that act like that, but overall, I think most people won't. I think most people it'd be like a different kind of judgment, like admiration versus like right now, like you know, people want to just if they could destroy somebody just because they don't like them for being different. I think it's more like they're gonna embrace.
Embrace the differences.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I kind of got this idea and this feeling about like what might be coming as I see more people shifting to one side of like actually being appreciative and like working together and like figuring things out and breaking old systems down. Maybe like this is like the new duality is like I like more powerful versus not as powerful, but all of us accepting and all of us working together.
It's
Yeah.
not necessarily duality. It's
No,
just
it
like
wouldn't be.
not sameness, or does that make
Yeah.
sense? Something like that.
We'll probably have new words for all these different things if it ends up going that way. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, things are. I mean, the thing we know for sure, obviously, is that the world is definitely changing. Like
Fast.
even in our own personal lives, there's been like quite a bit of quick changes and like what do you call them? Um, I don't know. What do you call changes and just whatever people call it ascension symptoms? That's right. I
Yeah.
think we did a video on that before a long time ago. But it's like um, I'm really starting to feel like just the air. You can almost go outside and like the air is like different, like the trees and like there's like something really in the air right now, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's like we've had definitely some. I mean, pretty much anyone and everyone can say in the last year, a lot of stuff has gone down and
Yeah.
changed and shook up your reality all across the world. Like, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and more is to come. And like, where is this? It's like, but the thing is, like, if you besides like the media telling you to be scared, most people, if you don't listen to that, are actually pretty like excited about what's coming.
Like you can feel it in their bones at now. Not like how it was early spring, but like now I almost feel like people are just kind of just doing their own thing. At least in some of the areas we've gone to, people aren't like focused on the worry as at least right now. But yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's like as things keep changing, we'll kind of keep
well,
people posted on what's going on.
we
At
can't
least,
keep people. We're not
at
like
least
we're
not the
first line
news
of
or
like what
whatever. But it's
happens.
like we'll from our perspective, we'll like keep putting.
If we
information
notice
out.
anything, we'll let people know, which we probably won't notice anything. I'm just kidding. If we find an interesting discussion topic to discuss, then we'll do that. But the thing is, like, in the ways you say, yeah, most people would say over the past year that it's been like probably the wildest ride of their life. There's been so many things that's happened in the past year, and then we all say, well, for what? For what's coming.
Yeah.
We're preparing ourselves, whether you know it or not. But you are preparing yourself for what is next to come. Which again, is only good things.
Yeah.
And it's like this sense of like excitement, at least for me. And I'm starting to feel it around in the people, or at least around in like the energy of like the environment that we're in or something. I don't know. But yeah.
It's pretty interesting stuff. It's like so we kind of gotta let go of like all these different judgments that we hold on people, because it's like that kind of holds us back from where we're going.
Oh yeah.
It slows things down.
That's the whole thing about being judgmental. Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, because when you start to judge people instead of appreciate them for their differences or like what they think, what they're doing, besides people that, it's like obviously like eating kids kind of thing is not really the best thing to do. But if you stop the people that are like actually supplying and whatnot, it's like that doesn't even exist anymore. So like overall, it's like we need to stop passing judgment and like work on trying to be the best we can be and embracing people for what the best that they can be, and we all can work all of this in a positive direction together.
Yeah, don't intertwine yourself in someone else's shortcomings, right?
Absolutely, it's like that's a lot of wasted, like amazing energy that could be used and be cultivated, and it can do so many amazing things instead of like distorting someone or yourself just because you're harboring these judgments that don't even really need to be there.
Yeah. And then obviously not trying to make light of like um, anyone really getting hurt and all that against their will or hurt against their will. We know what it's like now to lose a child, and I guess that doesn't really put, what do you call it, say anything for the kids being tortured. So, but we understand that kids and people get tortured out there, and it's kind of still, you can't really like super attach yourself to that stuff because it's just, it's, I mean, like you said it, I think the best, it's not good to go about it that way.
Because if you break down those systems by like understanding and working through it, it's like those, like that stuff will just stop happening. It's like, and don't go after the person that did it, because there's like that person would just be replaced with someone else. You need to go after the system of how this even happens.
That's what the grand scheme needs to be, to go after the system. But the individuals out there, you go after yourself pretty much. Work at I guess the point in which you mentioned earlier in your summary there was that you work on yourself. That's the best way anyone, especially right now, the best way anyone can go about anything at the moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. It's like that's another thing that's like interesting about like people like Trump and whatnot. It's like he works on himself, but he's working on like the grand scheme. Like a lot of the things all policies and different trades and all these different things he's setting up, even the wall, is to stop human trafficking, stop drug trafficking, stop violence, stop all these things. And that's why a lot of people all across the world like have this appreciation. So when people are like, "Oh, I don't like him," just because he's like, he potentially is saving you and your kids, like, and you don't even realize it. Just because you're told you don't like him, you're just like, "I don't like him." It's like that's kind of silly. That's why it's like, I'm not gonna judge you, but I think you should stop like worrying about like what he's doing, unless he's like coming to your house and like stealing your food or something. Personally, it's like stop.
And one thing I want to say there too is like, I know some people probably don't want to think of him this way, but you kind of have to, because this is really kind of the reality of what it's looking like, at least to me, is that Trump is kind of like the Pac-Man bubble eater, like thing eater. He's going and cleaning up all the trash, and we have some background laughing. He's cleaning up all the trash, and he is doing that kind of work, especially on the scale, the level that he's doing, creates a lot of like energy movement, okay? And so that energy movement is being taken on or being shown as people, as what we're seeing right now in the media and everything. You have haters and you have the lovers and the haters, basically. Very extreme ends of the spectrum is what's that's creating, because just like you're taking a sword and like literally slicing something down the middle, and then you gotta wait for the dust to settle. Um, so try to respect the role that, and I think he's very aware of this too. We maybe do another video about some interesting series of dreams that I keep having about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But
For another time.
yeah, because I know previously I don't want to be. I've been like I don't want to give all the credit to him, and I know he has a good big team of people that he works with that need the credit also. But obviously he's the front man for a reason, right? um, because he was put there in the front. We voted him into the presidency, and so that's the role that he's playing, and um, that needs to be seen for what it is. And I think that deserves obviously a little bit of respect there for the huge amount of, I guess you could call it karma, that he's eating right now for breakfast every morning, right? At least that's what it feels like to me. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It's like a lot of good things, people. A lot of good things. You just take it as it is, and don't take everything so harshly. Everything is, yeah. It seems like it's like hard right now, but it's actually not that hard. Just keep doing what you're doing, moving forward. Everything is gonna be just fine.
take it easy. Do your inner spiritual work if you can. Do the things you find fun and enjoy life. And get ready.
All right, everybody.